Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. It's been a minute. I just want to first off apologize. I know I haven't been making videos like you guys have been wanting me to. I just kind of gotten busy. Been a little bit of laziness too. I'm not going to lie. But today, I'm going to be telling you guys what I think is essential to a boat for bass fishing, primarily bass fishing tournaments. And I'm going to be walking you guys through my boat as well, kind of giving a little tour. Basically showing you what I would say if you want to go out and try to win is what's going to be kind of necessary nowadays to go out and compete. So starting off, we're going to head to the first thing, which is, well, it's kind of really two things. Your engine and your actual boat itself. So a lot of people ask, and a lot of new people who are trying to find a boat want to go out and buy one. You know, they're trying to get into bass fishing. They're like, well, what size do we need? Well, if I'm being honest, the size of the boat really depends on what you're fishing, what lakes you're fishing, how many people are you fishing, and what size engine do you want? Because depending on the size of your boat will depend on your engine restrictions, essentially. So since mine's a 19 foot, it is rated for a max 200 horse, which is what I have on this thing. Where like a 21, 22 foot, it's 250. 18 foots are 175 if I'm not mistaken, and 17 it's like 150 and below. Now for what I fish all sorts of lakes, some small, some big. I would say that a 19 foot, it's going to get the job done. It's right in that perfect range. Anything smaller, you can start to get on top of each other, I think. For example, like when I was fishing in my 16 foot, I used to have a 16 foot. Excuse me. We were just always on top of each other. Where this boat, we were fishing 4 people off of it one time, perfectly fine. Your lake size also depends. Are you fishing super big water? Or are you fishing really tiny water? Are you making really long runs, really short runs? If you're only making a 5-minute run, you don't need a 200, 250 horse. Now, granted, you definitely can. There's no stopping you from going out and getting a boat with that big of an engine. But if you're making super long runs, who knows how long, 10, 20, 30 miles plus, especially down south where there's some really big reservoirs, really big lakes, then you definitely want some power behind your boat to really get you to your spot. There's always the argument of just because you're first to the fish doesn't mean you're going to catch them. Well, I honestly think that you want to get there safely, of course, but being there first can help out most of the time. So yeah, my engine is a 200 horse, scoots this boat right across the water perfectly fine. So I would say though, for bass fishing tournaments, tournament anglers, especially high school, which is where I'm at, if you're just fishing, like Midwest lakes, like a lot of Midwest lakes, Minnesota, Wisconsin, Michigan, Indiana, Illinois, a 19 foot with a 200 horse is going to be plenty good for you. But there's no stopping you guys from going up. That's for sure. Next up, the electronics. I get this question a lot, or I ask this question a lot as well. What electronics should be used? What should be allowed in tournaments? And what should you have on your boat if you want to go out and compete? Well, I have 3 screens. Technically, I have 2 hooked up right now. I got to hook up another one when it gets a little bit warmer. But I have every single type of screen except for Mega Live 360. Or Mega 360, not Mega Live. Mega 360, whatever it's called. I have a Humminbird at the console, and I have 2 Lawrences. So we're going to go check them out. All right, so the first screen that I have is a Humminbird Helix 9, which is at the console right here. And this basically has all, what I would say, it has one of the essential things that I always recommend if you're getting a boat, first screens. And it also has some additive features to help me break down a lake. So it has a nav map, of course, which is, I would say, an essential, especially if you're fishing big bodies of water and you get lost or something. It's just a big time help. The other things that this Humminbird Helix 9 has that I have it hooked up right now for is side imaging, down imaging, and 2D. Basically, 2D will allow me to see if I'm driving over any bait balls or maybe some structure or something. Down imaging, same thing, you know, and the side imaging is huge. I can drive around a lake, really break it down, see if there's rock piles, if there's trees, if there's bait fish. You know, I can even see if there's bass, which is pretty crazy. It's very, very nice. And I would say it's, you know, one of those things where if you want to be able to really break down a lake, it's going to be big time, big time help. It will definitely help you break down a lake faster too, because, you know, if you're just looking at a map and then you're like, okay, I'll just go out and fish it. Well, now you could be fishing for 15 hours. With side imaging, I can mark some points, find some points, mark some areas, and then come back to those areas, fish those spots. Now I'm fishing that spot for a little bit. I can be like, yep, they're here. Yep, nope, they're not. It's just a structure with nothing on it. So that's big time help. So yeah, that's what I have at the console. Next, we're going to head up to the very front, and I'm going to show you what I'll be staring at up there. All right, so I have 2 screens. One came with the boat. The other one I picked up. Both of these are Lawrences. So the Lawrence LC X28C up here. This one I primarily run on a nav map, and I also run 2D imaging. When I'm up here, when I'm fishing the shallow water, 2D really doesn't do much because I can just see it unless it's really, really dirty. But when I'm out there in 20 feet of water, it does help. I've actually caught some fish just by doing 2D. But I mostly use it for nav map, water temp, things like that. And just helps me know where I'm at, what depth zone I'm at. And then the new screen that I picked up that I'm going to be hooking up is the Lawrence here. This is the Eagle Eye, which I'll be running live scope on this. Right now it's in the ice fishing configuration. By no means, though, this is nowhere near the most expensive, most premier, best live scope at all. So, you know, when you go and buy a live scope system, you don't need to go out and spend $3,000 on some of these 12, 13, 14-inch Garmins. Just buy what's going to work. So that's why I picked up this Lawrence. It was pretty cheap, and it's just going to get me started. I can always upgrade down the road. I can always sell that and buy a Garmin, buy Humminbird, buy a bigger Lawrence, you know, buy the active target, whatever I need to get, which will probably be true. It's probably going to come fruition true for sure, you know, later down the road. But yeah, so there's all the electronics. And then the next thing I want to touch on is this bad boy right here, a trolling motor. Now, what type of trolling motor should you get? Well, there's a couple different brands that you can really go for. They all make really good stuff at the end of the day. There's Garmin, there's Minn Kota, there's Lawrence, and of course there's PowerPole. Power pool's super expensive, so if you're on a budget, I would not even go close to that. I would say, and from my personal experience and from what I like Minn Kotas. I have the Maximum on mine, but the Ultrex is something that I'm gonna be looking at getting, which is the one with the spot lock. But I would say for Minn Kota, you want the Maximum, Vortex, or the Ultrex. Those are the three best in my opinion. I had the, what's it called? Oh, no, I can't. It's like the lowest to low end, I think, one on my old boat. I think it's called like Power something. It was a Minn Kota, but it was just so buggy. It was like kind of buggy almost. But it was also just hard for me because every time I'd have to reach down, I'd have to grab it, like pull the thing back and then push it out and so on. So, just being able to just grab the rope and just, swing it up and over, it works out tremendously. So, yeah. All right, so the next and final thing that I want to talk about is your deck space. So I have 2 decks on my boat. I have a pretty good sized front deck. Biggest thing is, I would say, when you want, especially if you're fishing duos, you want a big deck. A small little deck, like my old boat was from I don't even know, probably from this cabinet up to the front, if that. I don't even know if it was that big. But it was just so claustrophobic, where now I have such a big deck where I can walk around, And then other nice thing is I'll be able to put my rods. I can lay my rods out here and on this side, and I don't got to worry about them getting in the way of my tackle compartments and other compartments and stuff. It's just such a big time help that I would recommend for anybody who's going out looking for a boat. A bass boat is really like what I would gear towards, especially if you are doing bass fishing tournaments. Just the space and the storage that they have on them is just so nice. And I see so many boats that have, so many bass boats, especially older ones, they still just have a tiny little area, and then they have a little step, but then they have all this area. I would recommend finding one with what they call a flip deck, or something where you can at least put a board down. Like mine, this cabinet and that cabinet are actually part of a flip deck, so it's just a deck extension. And I tell you what, it is so nice because I can store so much more stuff. But yeah. So that's going to wrap up kind of what I think is essential to a bass boat and for bass fishing tournaments. I just want to say thank you guys for watching once again. Go ahead, hit that like, subscribe, share with other people and have a lovely day.